Welcome to One Trinity Place in San Antonio, Texas, as we're here for Game 1 between the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater and the Trinity University Tigers. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Cole Isaacson, joined by Luke Terry for the first time all season. And you see the Whitewater starting lineup on your screen. Centering around it, number 2 hitter, Adam Kootway, hit over 470 last year. That is quite the stat line. Luke, what do you make of Whitewater offensively?
Well, Kootway hit not only over 400, he hit closer to 500, 477 through 40 games, almost 150 at-bats, 15 home runs, nearly 70 RBI, up over 900 in the slugging department too. I was here a couple of years ago when these two teams faced off in San Antonio, and it's an offensive output that's just waiting to happen. I'm sure that's likely what we're going to get here tonight.
As the first pitch is a ground ball from Najira, throw made by Harris in time, and quickly the first runner is retired.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you want to see. Michael Boki, fifth-year senior, took a tax test with him earlier today. We're in the accounting program together. I hope he did better than I did on that one. But certainly starting off strong on the mound tonight. Wants to pitch to contact. Obviously, you see the ERA. Inflated after one appearance in opening weekend of play against Babson. But, you know, 2 pitches right there, and he's looking pretty strong.
Now faces Adam Kootway. You referenced the batting average. 477 last year. That was 6th in the country. And swing and a miss, he's down 0-2.
Yeah, and this is a Warhawks team that's coming in here. First action on the year. It's kind of an odd day in San Antonio. Pretty gray, overcast, cooler than what we're used to even here in late February. Should be March already, but it's beside the point. Trying to just get a feel for things in the early going. White baseball against this gray backdrop. Probably going to be tough for the hitters, especially in their first plate appearances of the season.
Kootway. And the catch made in center field. So for 2 retired now as Adam Kootway. No, he's staying on first base. So a base hit for Adam Kootway as he ups that 477 batting average.
Yeah, that one just hanging up there far too long. Looked like a breaking ball from Boki on that delivery. He was ahead in the count, just didn't have the spin earlier in that one. He had gotten a couple of pitches down and away, going away from Kootway. That one just hung over the heart of the plate, and it's good enough for his first single of the year.
So Kootway able to get on board as he did so many times last season. Still 1 down for Michael Boki. As Skolin up for the first time all year for Whitewater. Hit in the air. And the catch made in left field by Pierce Matthews.
Yeah, and a couple pitches early on left up. That one just hanging significantly more up in the air for left fielder Pierce Matthews. A good job from Boki, though, continuing to pitch to contact in the early going. Wasn't fazed by Kootway's single in the 2 spot. Made an error, but he's adjusted, continuing to pitch, going right at these Warhawks hitters.
Boki checks on Kootway as he faces the dangerous power hitter Eli Frank. Frank playing first base today. Take strike 1. Only 20 at-bats last year for Frank. Made 2 starts. However, in those 20 at-bats, 2 home runs. They check on Kootway again, not in time.
Yeah, and Kootway, not a guy that ran a ton last year, just 9 attempts on the season, successful in 6 of them. Imagine that with 2 down here in the early going, day 1 of the season, cold environment, probably not going to go.
Hit in the air to right, and the catch made. So Kootway gets on, but ultimately Whitewater, no runs in the inning as we head to the bottom of the first on Tiger Network. About to get set for the bottom of the first on Tiger Network. As you see the Tigers lineup on your screen, it'll be Maddox McDonald leading it off for the 4th consecutive game, followed by Jack Baker, Nicholas Lazara doing the catching today, and Christian Holloway, the hero from last week, at first base, followed by Kai Tinker, Cal Coney at DH, Pierce Matthews making the start at left field in place of Ty Preston, Colt Harris at second base, and then Jack Peterson, the center fielder, in the 9-hole. And pitching for Whitewater, Cade Barrett.
Yeah, and Cade Barrett coming in, another name from last year's roster for the Warhawks that made a pretty big splash. 13 appearances, 12 starts, very good numbers. Of course, mentioned the conditions here in San Antonio. Probably not exactly what you want for your first start of the season. Maybe even worse, though, is a very potent Trinity offense year over year. Absolutely outstanding, but what an opening weekend.
As strike one in to McDonald. He's talked about it, Luke. What an opening weekend it was, scoring 8 runs in every single game. Swinging a miss, strike 2. Reminiscent of the Trinity offense we saw 2 years ago that put up 9.8 runs per game. That was 5th in the country. Last year, that number down to 6.3. Ball one high.
Yeah, Barrett in this at-bat coming right at McDonald. Not wanting to mess around. Getting ahead of these pitchers early in counts going to be very important if he wants to have a long first outing of the season.
Outside, 2-2.
And that third pitch, well out of the zone, a little bit of a wasted third opportunity. Having to come right back at McDonald after he's able to draw even 2-2 was a nice take on that 4th pitch just off the plate outside of the zone. Now he's in a position where he's going to fight off anything close.
Inside, ball 3. Whitewater dugout wanted the call. They don't get it, and it's a full count.
Yeah, tough one right there, especially with the way the ball's moving, coming across the body of a lefty, in on the hands, but it's coming through the zone, maybe catching a little bit of it as a nice play. Looks like it's made there down the line. Over there at first, able to get to it. That time is Eli Frank. Couldn't continue the top of the first for the Warhawks, but nice, solid defensive effort in foul territory that's been significantly expanded since the last time the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater was here in Texas.
Yeah, renovations to that area. Expanded it down low, limit it as you go down the line with the bullpen as Jack Baker steps in, number 2 hitter, playing shortstop today. 1 down in the inning as Maddox retired. Hit in the air, down the right field line, and a fair ball.
Looks like that one hauled in. Couldn't tell exactly where that one was dropping. Looked like it was sent the opposite way out toward Kootway in right.
Yeah, and you see the center fielder making the catch, so 2 down in the inning for Nick Lazara. Lazara with quite the opening weekend. Reached base in all 3 games. Grounds this one. Third base side. And 1-2-3 go the Tigers. 0-0. End of 1 in San Antonio. Top of the second on Tiger Network. Still 0-0, only one hit through the first inning as Michael Boki gets into his second inning of work. He's up to bat now. Patton for Babson. Sam Patton, 7th in the nation in batting average last season, right behind his teammate Adam Kootway. Ground ball gets through for a base hit. Down the line, he's thinking two, but he'll stay with a lead-off single for Whitewater.
Yeah, good understanding of what Michael Boki has done in the early going. In the top of that first inning, he went right after these Whitewater hitters. Patton that time, expecting something in the zone. He got it, he turned on it, and he just was able to squeak one past Kai Tinker playing over there at third base. Another 5th year on this Tigers roster. Gave it a good effort, but fully outstretched on the dive. Just couldn't come up with it. Good job, however, in left field. Pierce Matthews getting over there, eliminating him to just one base.
Hit in the air to deep right field. No doubt about it. Home run for Whitewater as Thies leaves the yard, and it's 2-0 Warhawks.
Yeah, and just simply too much up in the zone from Boki in the last 2 innings. He got hit in the first. That one, unfortunate for the Tiger starter tonight. We'll see it again right here. Just fully outstretched, certainly gets the barrel around to it, turns on one, and a day that I don't think either of us expected many balls to leave the yard. Cold, the wind blowing in from center field, so you know that he got every bit of that baseball.
His first pitch inside. Darrell Jackson hitting 7th today, working with no outs and nobody on, but a good thing for Whitewater as a bases clearing hit by way of the home run. They'll take it. That's high, ball 2. Whitewater, a team that hit .355 last season. 3rd best collective batting average in the country, and they're showing it tonight.
Yeah, and realistically, you're just not going to be able to pitch around or strike out a team like this. You don't want to try and be cute right around the zone. You want to come after him like Boki has done, but you have to stay down when a team like this comes to town. They're going to hit the baseball. You just want to try and keep it on the ground as much as possible.
And a 4-pitch walk handed out by Michael Boki, the 3rd consecutive Warhawk to reach, and not a good start to the inning for Trinity.
Yeah, and a little similar, I believe, to his outing last week. Came in relief, was able to get out of the inning, and then start of the next. I think the teams, Babson last weekend, had a little bit of a read, right? Had the opportunity in that extended break between at-bats to talk about it, kind of share what they saw in the first couple of appearances at the plate. And right now, Boki paying for it just a little bit. But he worked pretty quickly through that first batter of the inning. I think just trying to get into a rhythm, throw some more strikes after not being able to in that first at-bat at the top of the second.
Boki worked .2 innings last weekend against Babson. 2 strikeouts, but also the 2 earned runs. Pitched in an inning where the Tigers ended up giving up 9 runs. Used 4 different pitchers to get out of it. Of course, they ended up coming back to win. You've already seen some of the fireworks both of these teams are capable of putting up. This is Gordon up for Whitewater. Squares up to bunt, pulls it back. Throw to second, into center field. Jackson takes third. He stopped there as things go from bad to worse for Trinity.
Yeah, and Lazera playing behind home plate for Trinity tonight just had one get away from him right there. He certainly ripped it, but it missed pretty wide right of the mark. Colt Harris, and he's joined out there by Jack Baker in the middle of the infield. Really no opportunity to snag that one, and just an easy opportunity for Jackson to advance all the way over to third. And what was not the worst position in the world with the contact that Boki has pitched to in the early going, runner on first, no outs. Suddenly that double play ball is taken off the table, and the Warhawks continue to threaten.
Joe Gordon, the junior from Fox Lake, Illinois, working in a 1-2 count. Takes ball 2. Now the runner on third, nobody out in this inning. Already a 2-run homer for Thies to put Whitewater up early. Ball 3 as that doesn't land. Full count for Boki, finding himself in some trouble. In danger of putting runners at the corners. That misses, ball 4.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Boki right there, I think just the advancement of the runner, Jackson going from first to third, really changes the complexion of that at-bat. Get a little bit cuter, trying to deal with a runner who is not anywhere close to scoring, to all of a sudden being just 90 feet away. Ultimately, at the end of the day, he had an opportunity to go and get that batter out still. Just couldn't make a really competitive pitch. And a full count this early in the game, don't really want to throw a ball in the dirt right there. Want to continue to at least be operating right around the strike zone, make a guy feel like he's obligated to swing the bat. But to these last 2 batters, neither of them have felt that way, both of them reaching via the walk.
As Dave Smith, the pitching coach, comes out with Nick Lazara. Quick meeting with the starter, Michael Boki. Boki making his first start of the season in his second appearance. Made 1 start last season in 13 appearances. 6.57 ERA with a 2-1 win-loss record. On the hook as of now. Trying to keep this deficit where it is at 2-0.
But you mentioned Boki's first start of the year, and this is just an awkward weekend series. Wisconsin-Whitewater having to fly down to San Antonio, game 1 being on a Thursday. This is a pitching staff, a coaching staff as well, that doesn't like to change the rhythm, right? Normal Friday starter Joseph Shavana opened the season last weekend against Babson on Friday, so he's going to pitch again tomorrow. They're not going to move him up a day to throw off the rhythm in any capacity. They want it to remain consistent, so another guy steps in on a Thursday night, someone who doesn't have a lot of starts in their career. So, you know, there's some ebb and flow here, and I think that has to be the context out or through which you view this game in the early going.
That's fouled off by Bennett Frazier. Made 34 starts and 37 appearances last season. Hit .272 in the 9-hole today. And an RBI opportunity with nobody out. Way inside. Ball 2.
Yeah, and a couple times that we've seen that breaking ball really just hang up for Boki. I think that's the pitch that you want to go to when you're trying to find your release point. And perhaps with this weather, you can see some people bundled up behind home plate. It's a change in temperature over the past 2 or 3 days in San Antonio, kind of came out of nowhere. So these guys not used to pitching in it. Wouldn't be surprised if it's having a pretty big impact on the game and the performance that we're seeing right now. Just cannot seem to find that release point.
A 3-1 pitch. Strike called, outside edge. Brings the count full.
Yeah, much better right there. A little movement on what looked to be a 2-seam fastball. Put it on the outside part of the plate. And Frazier was headed down to first, but that time made a competitive enough pitch to get the call.
Did he go? Yes. Boki rings him up, and there's 1 down in the inning.
Again, throwing a competitive pitch, just putting himself in a position where he's confusing that guy in the box just a bit. Frazier started, and I'm not sure. I think it's the home plate umpire that said he went around, but it's because he started that slider over the middle of the plate, might have finished the ball, but got the batter to at least start right there and helps himself out a little bit, getting that first out on the board. Still runners at the corner, keeping a double play ball intact. Going to be important right here. Controlling the running game, something he's done very well already in the early going.
Strike called on the outside edge. Second time through for the Whitewater lineup as Najira, the leadoff hitter, up to bat. Grounded out to second his last time up. He's 0 for 1. Now working with runners at the corners in an RBI situation. As they throw to first, ball gets away, the runner's coming home, and he scores. So 3-0 Whitewater. Smart base running from the Warhawks.
Yeah, I look down for a split second at the papers in front of me. I look up, and all of a sudden it's 3-0. And you're right, heads up base running from Jackson over there at third base. Showed off a little speed, I think, moving from first to third earlier in the inning. I think you just have to be cognizant of that. If you're a first baseman over there, have to be focusing on catching everything cleanly, because just at the slightest inconvenience, a little bit of a bobble, he was not going to get thrown out at home.
Ball high. You got to remember how Jackson got around the bases. It was a throw from Lazara that got into center field that got him to third base. Takes home on a smart play to make it 3-0 Whitewater. Hit on the ground, back to Boki. Throw to second. And they're going to say out. Baker able to drag the foot on the base and at least get one.
Yeah, good job by Jack Baker right there, showing some athleticism in the middle of the infield, and it was much needed. Heads up play from Boki right here, recognizing that he has the out at second. You'll see it there. Some appeals from that Warhawk dugout, as we're going to see. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to see right here.
And that'll be the day for Michael Boki. Dave Smith takes the baseball. He goes 1.1, 3 runs on the board, a runner at first as we take a break on Tiger Network.
Now pitching for Trinity, number 30, Matthew Mackey.
Welcome back to Tiger Network. New pitcher for Trinity in the second inning. It's Matthew Mackey making his first appearance of the year.
Yeah, and Mackey, a lefty in this Tiger bullpen. A guy that's mostly been used out of the pen in his years here in San Antonio. Check early on over at first base, but a guy that isn't going to overwhelm many batters with his power. Operates really well with his off-speed and breaking stuff right around the zone. And I'd anticipate much of the same with Kootway up at the plate.
That's grounded foul by Kootway. So we reference the impressive nature of his stats. Made 40 starts, 40 appearances. Averaged .477. OBP of .560 and a slugging of .933. One of the best players in the nation. The 0-1 pitch. It gets him. So that on-base percentage is going to jump, but he is not happy about it as he painfully heads to first base.
Yeah, not the coldest day in San Antonio, although we've been talking about it as it is. I think nonetheless that one's going to sting a little bit because you're right. First game of the year, want to step into the box as one of the most dangerous hitters in the country, and you don't want to have the bat taken out of your hands like it was right there. For Mackey, really no harm done, an opportunity to face a lefty in the lineup with a little bit of an advantage in that type of matchup.
Matt Skolin in the box. Hit .355 last season, all conference in the WIAC. Flew out to left his last time up. Hit in the air. And Peterson makes the catch for out number 3. So a run scores for University of Whitewater as they lead 3-0 in San Antonio.
Heading to the bottom of the second, Wisconsin Whitewater 3, Trinity 0. Bottom of the second, leading off for the Tigers at first base, number 6, Christian Holloway.
Bottom of the second in San Antonio, and leading it off for the Tigers, Christian Holloway. Referenced it earlier, Holloway, the hero of last weekend, a comeback win for Trinity capped off by a grand slam in the 8th inning as Holloway takes strike 1.
Yeah, 10 spot in the bottom of the 8th to complete an absolutely Division III comeback at the end of the day. Probably nothing more representative of this division, and nothing more representative of this Trinity team that we've seen put up so many runs. At least I have in my past several seasons here on Tiger Network. And a guy that's helped contribute a lot of those is Christian Holloway up at the plate right now. I think just trying to settle in against Barrett, who's having a really nice start to this game. Just 11 pitches thrown in that first inning. Tiger hitters really need to settle in, try and draw these at-bats out just a little more.
1-2 pitch to Holloway. Outside 2-2, so Holloway doing a good job dragging this at-bat out. About to be in its 5th pitch. Trinity offense went down 1-2-3 last inning, trying to avoid that in the second. Now 3-2.
Yeah, good job from Holloway in this at-bat, falling behind, but even with 2 strikes on them, historically, Trinity hitters not being phased up there at the plate.
Popped up, and no play. We'll do it again.
Over the years, a lot of hitters in this lineup that just simply refuse to strike out. They're going to continue to battle, fight pitches off. As you see Holloway foul one out of play right there. I think they want to operate from the perspective where they need to put the ball in play on a consistent basis.
Hit in the air again. And same result.
But this is what really frustrates opposing pitchers is you make 2 good put out caliber pitches near the top of the zone. Somehow Christian Holloway finds a way to put the bat on the baseball. If you're Barrett, you keep going back to that spot if this is all he can do with it. You don't try and adjust. You don't go more to the zone because that's when you get hurt.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Holloway late on that one in the first K of the day for Barrett.
Yeah, and really the important thing, changing eye level right here, goes significantly further down in the zone after a couple of pitches at the top, borderline out on top of the zone. Holloway expecting stuff up there, and then he gets overwhelmed with a pitch that changes eye level but has that same pace on it in the middle of the plate.
One down in the inning as the DH, Cal Coney, steps into the box. Coney coming off back-to-back RBI games. Grounded third base side, going to be a tough play. Throw gets away. And Coney is safe at first, and he reaches for the Tigers.
Yeah, Coney, another name on this Trinity roster that can play in the middle infield. In there, I believe, as a DH in the lineup today. But I think from that defensive perspective, just points to the fact that he's a guy that moves very, very well. That one, tough to see the ball and the timing as to when it gets to first and when Coney gets there. But his speed making an impact. Third baseman Frazier crashing, understanding that he has to get rid of it quickly, just couldn't make a clean throw, pressured and rushed by the speed of that Trinity Tiger.
So Coney reaches, and it sets up Kai Tinker with 1 out and 1 on. Tinker made 2 starts in the 3 games against Babson, playing third base today. Takes it low. Tinker 2 hits and 2 RBIs in the series against Babson. Hit .296 last season. So he works with a 1-1 count. Throw to first, not in time, as Coney back safely once again.
And Coney already demonstrating some of the speed on the base paths, beating out that throw to first just a couple of moments ago. Wouldn't be shocked to see him on the move right now as that pitch up towards the top of the zone. Nice call that goes the way of Barrett. Quickly Kai Tinker in a little bit of a hole, but a good opportunity. Coney on base, maybe put on a little bit of a hit and run right here. Tinker, someone that is sure-handed and able to put barrel on baseball.
Puts the barrel on there, but it could be 2. Throw to first in time. And that's how the inning ends. Inning-ending double play, the 6-4-3, as Barrett gets out of the jam for Whitewater. Matthew Mackey back on the mound for the top of the third as Whitewater has a 3-0 lead. Got all 3 runs in the last inning as Eli Frank up for the second time today for the Warhawks. Frank flew out to second the last time he was up. It's the power hitter 0 for 1 in this game. Takes ball 1 inside.
And Mackey starting him off with a breaking ball right there. Anticipate that's what he's probably going to lead with for the majority of at-bats here tonight.
Strike one on the outside edge. Luke, how much do you imagine Mackey's going to throw? Obviously the plan thrown a little out of whack with Bokeh only going 1.2. How much length are you expecting out of him? Hit in the air down the first baseline. And the catch made for out number one by McDonald.
I mean, I think it's important to remember what was talked about last inning. This is a pitching staff and a coaching staff that approaches these odd weekends when you start on a Thursday in a little bit of a different manner. Bokeh, someone that typically is going to come out of the pen, the fact that he gets a start, I'm banking on the fact that realistically it was going to be a group effort probably for the distance of this one.
As that's popped up into the Whitewater bullpen, Holloway opened the door. I don't think that would have counted.
But that being said, to actually answer your question, I think Mackey's probably good for anywhere from 35 to 50 pitches. Still very early in the year.
Hit in the air to left field. Back at the wall. It's gone. The second home run for Whitewater, and this one by way of Sam Patton. 4-0 Warhawks.
And Patton, you mentioned it in the last time he stepped into the batter's box. A very incredible season last year that was overshadowed by his teammate Adam Kootway. But just 1 point back in that batting average department. He hit .476 on the season. Didn't have the pop in the bat a year ago that his teammate did. 15 home runs for Kootway, but Sam Patton getting a quick start to his campaign here in San Antonio in 2024. Sent that one out in a hurry.
Line drive home run for Sam Patton. Hit 4 home runs all of last season, adds 1 in the first game of the year. As this time, Coach Joey Deering out for a meeting with Lazera and Mackey. Or that was actually Scannell. But either way, 4-0 Whitewater. And if you're Trinity, you got to think that those are going to happen, but probably best it happens with nobody on base.
Yeah, unfortunate that less than 3 innings into this game, 2 home runs have been given up. But I think it's much of what we expected out of this series. Talked about it in the open. Whitewater, a very good hitting team. And Trinity's much of the same. I think all weekend long, you should expect it for 4 games. These 2 squads are going to hit. They're going to flex their power. And it's just going to come down to which roster and which pin has a better performance.
Now Andy Thighs up for Babson, for Whitewater, I should say. As the catch is made by Baker for out number 2.
And trajectory off of the bat that time. Thought it might have an opportunity to get over the head of Baker out there, but pretty softly hit. Good job from Mackey. This is the issue. Those 2 home runs that we saw given up were on pitches way up in the zone. A couple of balls that just got turned on. That time, trying to extend the bat, just couldn't get the barrel to it. Not great contact, and just a looping little liner sent to short.
Strike 1 taken by Darryl Jackson. Walked his first time up, facing Michael Bokeh. Now facing Matthew Mackey with 2 down in the inning. Ball 2. Already the solo home run from Sam Patton to make it 4-0 Whitewater. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
And good stuff right there from Mackey. Bottom drops out of that baseball, and he starts it at the bottom of the zone as is. Very difficult to come away with any contact on that pitch.
Hit in the air to right. Peterson makes the call and collects the third out of the inning. But damage done. Sam Patton, a solo homer, his first of the year, makes it 4-0 Warhawks.
For the Warhawks in the top of the third, 1 home run, 1 hit, no errors. No players left on. Wisconsin-Whitewater leads 1-0.
Bottom of the third in the Alamo City as Whitewater added on to the lead last time as Pierce Matthews leads it off in the bottom of the third for the Tigers. Take strike one.
And that one up in the zone. So far, Barrett getting that call. Saw that pitch called a strike in the last half inning. Trinity hitters certainly capable of taking advantage. Just have to gather an understanding if that one's going to consistently be called in that area of the strike zone.
Swing and a miss, strike two. Pierce Matthews got his first at-bat and his first action in a Tiger uniform last weekend. Hit a 3-run homer to start the rally. And he takes ball 2 to even the count.
And a good job checking his hands right there. Great sequencing from Barrett. Hammering that spot up in the zone. Absolute wipeout pitch down. Goes right back off the plate, still up at the top of the zone. Forced Matthews to at least start his hands. Good job from Pierce, laying off that pitch 2 ago, and then watching that one in the dirt.
3-2 pitch misses, and Pierce Matthews is aboard for the leadoff runner for Trinity.
Yeah, and a great at-bat from Pierce Matthews right there. Turning things around, getting a leadoff base runner here in the bottom of the third. An interesting lineup for Trinity tonight. Righties all the way down the order. Coach Scannell certainly trying to take advantage of this matchup with a lefty here in San Antonio.
There's another righty, Colt Harris up. Harris got his first career home run against the University of Whitewater 2 years ago when they came down to San Antonio. Slap to right. Back towards the wall, it's going to fall. Matthews to third, Harris stops at second. Throw not in time, and 2 Tigers in scoring position.
Yeah, and that one also a hard read off the bat. Sun going down here in San Antonio. Lights on this Trinity baseball stadium. Out there in right. It was Kootway trying to track it down. It hung up there for what felt like ages. And he kind of just overran it at the end of the day. A little bit of a break for Trinity, but a nice job by Colt Harris in this offense here in the bottom of the third. That time just putting one in play, a hard hit ball out there to right field, giving this lineup an opportunity, hopefully to turn it over to the top.
As Peterson swings through strike one of the only lefties in this lineup. Jack Peterson with an opportunity, 2 runners in scoring position. Can put the Tigers right back in this game. Outside 1-1.
Yeah, just one of the most unique guys on this roster. Stands in there about 6'4", huge power threat, but some of the best speed on this team out there playing center field right now.
Ball 2.
Barrett also facing a different look. Go after 8 consecutive right-handed hitters. Now someone standing in there from the opposite side of the plate certainly disrupts things a little bit and falls behind early in this count.
2-1 pitch to Peterson. Swing and a miss, 2-2. Peterson, a guy you have to be careful about. Hit 2 home runs in Game 3 against Babson. 4 RBIs accounted for with a solo shot and a 3-run homer. Tigers got out to a 16-0 lead in that game. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Peterson goes down for the first out of the inning.
Yeah, and a great job from Barrett right there. Recognizing on the previous pitch that maybe Jack Peterson was a second late getting his foot down and getting that swing started. Opposite just go right back after him, even in a 2-2 count, knowing that Peterson was going to have to trigger. Had faith that his fastball was going to get by him, and it did to the 9-hole hitter. Great job getting the first out here in the bottom of the third before that lineup turned over. But now, second time through, see what adjustments this Trinity offense can make.
Maddox McDonald, the leadoff hitter, up for the second time today. Popped out in his only at-bat. Still working with runners on second and third. Swing and a miss, strike 2.
Yeah, and Barrett continuing to go to that fastball, even second time through the order for this Trinity offense. Imagine sooner rather than later they will get that timing down.
Strike 3. Well, strike 2. I guess they called one of those a ball. So a 1-2 count to McDonald as he stays in the batter's box.
What a great job using the off-speed pitch right there.
Hit in the air to right center. Play made. Runners will tag. And no throw home. Tigers on the board.
Sequencing from Barrett, went to that fastball that he blew by McDonald, and then he took a little bit off of it with a breaking ball, but continuing just to hammer this part of the zone. Good job by keeping things down, because if that was middle, maybe a little bit further up, I think Maddox McDonald would have certainly got a hold of it. That time around, you see on the replay, claps his hands, content enough to just get a job done, brings the first run in of the evening, and advances another runner over to third.
Jack Baker up, takes ball 1 inside. Baker flew out to center, now up with 2 outs and a runner on third, as Pierce Matthews scores the run to put the Tigers on the board. Still 4-1 Whitewater. Swing and a miss, strike 1.
And a good job right there. Barrett starting that one, and just terrific movement, dropping out of the bottom of the zone. Jack Baker fooled. See if he can get something in the middle part of the plate.
To center. Catch made, and that ends the inning. But the Tigers on the board, making this a 3-run game in San Antonio.
fourth inning, leading off for Wisconsin-Whitewater. Catcher number 10, Joe Gordon.
Top of the fourth, and San Antonio Tigers able to get on the board and make it 4-1. Now Matthew Mackey trying to hold this deficit against a very dangerous Whitewater lineup. As Gordon, the catcher, leads it off for the Warhawks.
Yeah, and important right here for Trinity to return to what they did in the top of the first and put a 0 on the board. Difficult thing to do against a lineup like the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. The Warhawks, can talk about it very extensively, are going to put up runs, and they did so in both the top of the second and the top of the third. But it was really, more than anything, mistakes that were made, balls that were left up in the zone. It's a 4-1 score right now, and Trinity did a nice job of notching a run on offense. But it certainly could be closer if you can avoid those certain mistakes that have been made.
2-1 pitch. Down the line and foul. 2-2.
But here, a good start in the top of the fourth, pitching back to this 2-2 count. Able to fight one off right there was Joe Gordon. But Mackey now an opportunity to put him away. And he's certainly got the stuff right around the bottom of the zone.
Goes that way, but misses. 3-2.
Really no harm done right there. Operating below the knees. Great idea. Just couldn't keep it high enough. Maybe don't want to bury something regarding the context of the start that they've had.
Takes ball 4 as Gordon is on base for the second time today by way of the walk. Leadoff man reaches for the Warhawks.
I think you just have to be a little bit more competitive if you're this pitching staff, considering the standard that's been set in the first 3 innings of the game. A lot of free passes have been handed out already, whether it's hit by pitches or drawn walks.
Bunt down the line and foul. That would have been really good if it had stayed fair.
Yeah, great pace on that one. That one probably a good 60, nearly 70 feet up the line. Mackey was chasing, and Frazier showing off some good speed, getting up the base path right there. A little bit of a break for Trinity as it just dribbles foul.
Bennett Frazier 0 for 1 in this game. Struck out looking. Works with a man on first and nobody out. Squares up to bunt, drops it down again. Mackey picks it up and overthrows him. Throw cut off in the outfield so the runners stay where they are, but runners on first and second for Whitewater.
Yeah, I think the first one probably a better bunt, right? If it does stay fair, it's right down the line. You're Mackey right there. Have to be cognizant that the same thing is probably coming. Unfortunate for Trinity, and can't settle in and take the easy out that was given to them. Now putting yourself in a worse position, runners on first and second, still nobody down.
Najira up for the third time. Grounds it through. Base hit. Runner coming home. In time, 5-1 Whitewater. Gordon scores and the Warhawks extend the lead.
It feels like just seconds ago, frankly, we were talking about how important it was going to be to come out and try and hang a 0 on the board right after your offense helped you out, at least scratched one to cut into the deficit. But Whitewater, this offense showing how quickly it can strike, just finding a hole in the infield, not a super hard hit ball. Mackey's continuing to try and just pitch to contact, but it sneaks through, and maybe it's just going to be one of those days for the Warhawks in their opening night of this 2024 season.
Adam Kootway up, takes ball 1. You know, we talk about how dangerous of a hitter Kootway is, and he's reached twice on a base hit and a hit by pitch, but it's been his teammates that have really carried the day. Now works with nobody out and 2 runners on. 2-0.
But you can see whether or not it's him or his teammates, this Trinity pitching staff knows his number.
Matthew Mackey doesn't want to get burnt again by leaving something over the middle, trying to pitch to contact to one of the best hitters in the entire country.
Hit hard but foul, as it'll bring the count to 2-1.
Yeah, and just in a position right there simply where you have to give him a hittable pitch, falling behind 2-0 early in the count. Attacked him over the middle of the plate. Fortunately for Mackey, Kootway just missing on that fastball.
Throw to first. Not in time.
It seems like it was a very close one over there based on that noise volume that we're hearing out of that Trinity dugout right now.
Yeah, they wanted the call. They don't get it. Now, apparently he's out. Walking back to the dugout, they did get him. So one down in the inning, the runner still on third. And a big play for the Tigers.
Yeah, and a great job from Mackey, taking it out where he could get it. Missed on the bunt. That was kind of just given to this Trinity defense. But making it up for it right there, getting a first out on the board.
And loses Kootway. So just as that runner gets picked off at first, another one gets put right back.
But in a way, kind of just resetting things right there. Take one guy off the board, put someone back, and still keep that double play ball in order. And that entire ordeal, the pickoff, at least lets you avoid putting runners on every base.
Now up for Whitewater, Matt Skolin. His third time up, he's flown out both times as he fouls that off for strike one. Skolin hit .355 last season, slugging percentage of .621. Working with runners at the corners and only one out. Hit through the gap. That'll score at least one as Whitewater extends their lead 6-1.
Yeah, and just starting to really pass the baton from one hitter to the next. None of these guys are trying to do too much. And that's the scary thing about an offense that's already hit 2 home runs on the night. All of these guys playing very much within themselves at the moment. Nice job taking something middle of the plate away and sending it to the other field.
So now 6-1 Whitewater. RBI single for Skolin, and it brings up Eli Frank for the second time. Popped out to second and flew out to right. Now works with runners on first and second. Oh, 1 pitch. Low ball 1.
Yeah, very similar spot that first offering was. I think maybe Mackey getting helped out on that first delivery, but that one, arguably, I liked more. Had a little bit more velocity on it. Was right in the same area. I think could have tried to steal one to get ahead in this count 0-2, but all of a sudden things switch up and you fall behind 2-1 again.
Kootway takes third base, a stolen base for Adam Kootway. And runners at the corners once again.
With that, a little bit of a delay. I think defense just trying to put something on right here and call for a situation where runners are at first and third. Already seen Whitewater score in one of these situations tonight.
Down the line and foul. It'll make the count 2-2. Kootway able to take the base, only stole 6 times all of last year. Add 1 to the tally in 2024. In this battle of ranked teams, Trinity moving up to 19, Whitewater number 21. 2-2 pitch to Frank. And not yet.
Yeah, check over there at first base. Holloway doing a nice job of hauling that one in. Certainly wasn't immediately on his frame, so potential run-saving snag over there. Made it look pretty routine, but an important play.
2-2 pitch. Fouled off again. So Frank continues to stay alive, just showing the presence of these Whitewater hitters in the box. You're seeing all the reasons why they hit .355 as a team last season. Throw to first again, it gets away. Runner comes home, and it's 7-1 Warhawks.
Like we just said, a very similar throw on that check over to first base. That one up the line, even more so than the first time around. Holloway unable to secure that one. And a first and third call right here. Sure, they want to keep that runner honest. Over at first. Don't want him advancing, trying to keep the double play ball in order. But a little bit too much attention being paid.
Grounded foul, and it'll remain 2-2. The runner at first moves to second, so still a runner in scoring position for Mackey to deal with. Still only one down in the inning. Trinity scored at least 8 runs in all 3 games against Babson. They're going to have to do at least that to win this game. In the dirt, gets away. The runner stays where he is.
Had a good job from Lazera right there. That one taking a pretty significant bounce off the turf that they're playing on here in San Antonio. A ward off his chest, blocked it in the right direction as well towards that third base dugout, that home dugout. Exactly what you want to do with a runner on second who would be advancing up 90 feet.
Strike 3. Gets Frank looking on the breaking ball, and there's 2 away.
And a long at-bat right there from Eli Frank, but an even better ending to it for Matthew Mackey. 2 of them battling right there, and a run scores in the middle of it. Matthew Mackey, though, utilizing that breaking ball that we talked about earlier. Great pitch at the top of the zone, freezes the hitter, and gets him one step closer to the dugout.
Sam Patton now up for Whitewater. Last time he was up, a solo shot to left field to make it 4-1 at the time. His teammates able to extend the lead. Still working with Skolin on second base. So he'll throw off the backside, not in time. Mackey very concerned with these runners. Sam Patton works with a 1-0 count. One of the best hitters in the country. 2-0.
Yeah, and a little bit of a surprise that he's as concerned as he is. You mentioned Kootway, only 6 stolen bags on the season last year. Clearly gets his first tonight. But it's Skolin out there right now. He only attempted 10. And this is not a Warhawks team that up and down the roster attempted a ton of stolen bases, and I think it's because they're such a threat in the box with the bat literally in their hands. They've been so tonight. I think in a game like this, you can't afford to be so concerned with the guys on base that you make mistakes when you're actually delivering to the plate, and we've seen it already a couple of times for Trinity.
And he loses them. A 4-pitch walk to Sam Patton. And there's 2 aboard for Whitewater with 2 down.
And that one up in the zone, a close miss, but in the context of what was already a 3-0 at bat, didn't give the umpire enough to work with right there. Just unconvinced. And Coach Dave Smith maybe feeling a little bit of the same sentiment. Going to come out, take the baseball from Matthew Mackey, and we'll have a change here in San Antonio.
Mackey leaves with 2 walks and a strikeout as we will continue the bottom of the 4th when we come back.
Now pitching for Trinity, the 36, Tyler.
New pitcher on the mound for the Tigers. It's Shepard Tyler making his second appearance of the year. Tyler a sidearm as he throws ball one.
Yeah, and a guy that probably isn't going to throw a lot of pitches up in the zone, so not going to get hit in that territory, more than likely. Don't want to curse him with the announcer's jinx that I so often carry with me. But 2-0 start here as he comes on in relief in the top of the fourth, already 2 down. Good opportunity to pitch to contact.
Andy Thighs up for the Warhawks, 1 for 2 today, with a 2-run homer as he fouls that one off.
Great job finding the plate right there. Able to put something across, but Thighs clearly with the green light took a healthy hack at that one. Fortunately for Tyler, not getting hurt in any capacity.
Now 2-1 pitch. Fouled off, 2-2.
Yeah, comes up, but also comes in, finds a way to get on Thighs' hands a little bit right there and draw things even. Now with this delivery, see what he has that can try and get Thighs out in front after he came inside.
Thighs, a .321 hitter last season, one of the many dangerous bats of Whitewater. Grounded to Harris. Throw to first in time, and that ends the inning. But Whitewater adds on 7-1 Warhawks as we head to the bottom of the fourth on Tiger Network.
Well, Wisconsin Whitewater on the top of the fourth, 3 runs on 2 hits, there were 2 errors. 2 players left on base at the bottom of the fourth. Wisconsin Whitewater 7, Trinity 1. Bottom of the fourth inning, leading off for the Tigers. The catcher, number 15, Nicholas Lazara.
Bottom of the fourth on Tiger Network. Whitewater up on Trinity 7-1 in this battle of ranked teams. As ball one from Barrett to Nick Lazara, hitting for the second time today. Lazara grounded out the first time he was up. Ball two.
Lazara represents one of the most potent bats in this Trinity lineup, a guy that can hit from both sides of the plate and wields a lot of power. But so far in his 2024 campaign is showing off the ability to just put the barrel on the baseball. He's kept it in the yard so far, but he's still hit it with a ton of velocity.
Ball three as a 3-1 count to the catcher.
Good start for this Trinity offense here in the bottom of the fourth. Get your 3-hole up there, threatening in a 3-1 count.
Strike two.
He had maybe a green light, started the hands at least, pitch that was up in the zone, at least in the top half.
Grounded to second, and Lazara is retired for the first out of the inning.
Good job from Barrett right there, coming back from down 3-1, made a competitive pitch. Froze Lazara just enough. He started his hands, but just couldn't quite get the barrel around on what was a fastball in a pretty healthy part of the plate. Important after surrendering his first run of the evening in the bottom of the third to get that first out here in the fourth, keep himself clean. Pierce Matthews, the 4-hole. Christian Holloway up there now.
Holloway playing first base today, rips that one down the left field line, but foul.
He's going to be tasked to do now with one out what Trinity did very well in the bottom of the third. Just worked the count. I believe it was Pierce Matthews who did so in the bottom of the inning. Got on board with a walk. Things continued. Colt Harris with that double into the right field corner. I think putting pressure on Barron, getting base runners however you can, going to be important the rest of the night.
1-2 pitch to Holloway. Hit down the right field line. Fair ball. Holloway digging in for second, and he's safe with a stand-up double. So with one out, the Tigers have a runner in scoring position.
Talked about it earlier. A dangerous lineup and a dangerous offense. Even when they're behind in the count, Christian Holloway falls behind very quickly, but shows and demonstrates that even when you're ahead as an opposing pitcher, there's really no time that you're safe. Gets a really nice piece, expands the field. A guy that you talked about, Cole, hit a grand slam to complete a comeback last week. Very content right there to get whatever, use whatever is thrown to him. Goes the other way. A nice double to keep things or try and get things started here in the bottom of the fourth.
Now batting for the Tigers is number 11, Cal Coney. Cal playing DH today. Swings through that for strike one. Now working with a runner on second, a position he's very fond of. Back-to-back RBI games against Babson in games 2 and 3. Coney a part of that comeback. Featured many pinch hitters. A lot of guys you wouldn't expect getting into the lineup and making it count. In the bottom of the 8th in particular.
I think that's exactly what we've come to expect. This isn't a team that's limited to 9 guys that can hit the baseball really well. Coach Scannell has a plethora of others waiting in that dugout for their number to be called.
Now 3-1.
Good start to this at-bat for Barrett. Coming right at Calcone with a fastball. Blew it right by him, but since then, not seen a lot in the zone.
In danger of losing Coney. Fouled off, and that'll bring the count full.
I think that's the danger. Falling behind in a scenario like that, you imagine as a hitter, he's going to have to go back to the fastball. And as a pitcher, you're giving him the opportunity to make the adjustment, to speed up the bat and change the timing. Unfortunately for Coney, just missed on that fastball up.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Coney's retired for the second out of the inning as he heads back to the dugout with a strikeout.
And he got a hittable pitch the pitch before, just missed it. I think Barrett doing a nice job recognizing that he got the hands to go on a pitch near the top of the zone, stayed with the heater, made it a little bit more unhittable, just too enticing for Coney, who was well underneath it.
Hit in the air, playable, and that ends the inning. Tigers get a base runner on second, but can't do anything with it. End of the fourth in San Antonio. 7-1, Whitewater leads Trinity.
Moving out the top of the fifth inning for Wisconsin Whitewater. Shortstop number 3, Darryl Jackson.
Top of the fifth in San Antonio. Shepard Tyler back on the mound for the Tigers as he faces this potent Whitewater lineup. Jackson leads it off for the Warhawks. Strike 1. Jackson 0 for 1 today. Flew out to right and also walked. Strike 2 as that breaks back into the zone.
A good start to this top of the fifth by Tyler. Significantly different arm action than the first couple of guys, both a righty and a lefty. This one coming out of nowhere behind the hitter. Jackson straightening up just a little bit to avoid it. Looked like it was close to catching him on the backside, but no harm done for Shepard Tyler right there. It's still operating with the opportunity for a strikeout.
Not every day you see that. 1-2 pitch. Outside 2-2.
Yeah, borderline. Lazera doing everything he could to secure that one and frame it right on the edge of the zone.
Outside 3-2. So Jackson able to battle back in this at-bat. Was 0-2. 3 consecutive pitches outside the zone.
Yeah, and a couple of consecutive really nice takes right there, especially 2 pitches ago.
Grounded foul, and Jackson stays alive.
That ball that Lazera wasn't able to quite snag and frame, really close to the edge of the zone one way or another. Surprised Jackson didn't go at it.
3-2 pitch. Grounded foul again. Shepard Tyler's second appearance of the year. Pitched 1.1 innings, gave up 2 earned runs in Game 2 against Babson. As you could probably tell, he's a sidearm thrower, the only one on this Trinity staff. Grounded foul again as Jackson continues to stay alive. Got to talk to Shepard Tyler about the value that a sidearm brings to changing the perspective on hitters, changing the eye level, making it more difficult. Grounded to Tinker, throw in time for out number 1. So a long at bat results in an out.
And Jackson fighting towards the conclusion of that at bat. Did a really nice job preliminary, just getting it to that full designation. Then it was at 3-2, fought off some pitches on the inside. Not only does Shepard Tyler have an interesting arm slot, he has great movement back in on the hands of righties. Jackson just wasn't able to figure it out in that one, just couldn't get a clean barrel on it.
Grounded in time for out number 2. So 2 quick outs for Shepard Tyler in this inning. Haven't heard that too much from these Tiger pitchers today. But anyways, what I was saying about talking to Shepard Tyler, talk to him about how sidearm throwing really feels to him. And apparently the motion of a sidearm is more natural. You're not going up and over, you're just carrying your arm through. So he says he's less worn down after he pitches. He said he feels like he could throw 5 times in 7 days. I don't know about that one, but the point gets across that he's not as worn down.
Yeah, certainly
2-0.
A benefit from a couple of perspectives when you think about it that way. A guy that you can run out there a lot, and I'm sure they probably won't. I don't know how many opportunities they will have to have him throw 5 times in 7 days. But nice when really any given game you can call his number to try and give an opposing offense some different looks at the plate.
Down 3-0 to Joe Gordon. Strike called. Or actually, that's Bennett Frazier in for Whitewater. 3-1, 2 down in the inning. And he loses him, ball 4. So the first base runner for the Warhawks of the inning.
And a good job by Frazier right there. Working that at bat and turning things over to the top of the lineup as Alex Najir will step back into the box, trying to prolong this inning, hang another crooked number on the board. Was 3 consecutive, or has been 3 consecutive to this point, but Shepard Tyler threatening to put that to an end.
Catch made by Tinker, and that ends the inning. No damage done for the first time all game. Still 7-1 Whitewater as we head to the bottom of the 5th.
For the Warhawks in the 5th inning, no runs in it, so no errors. 1 play left on base. And to the bottom of the 5th, Wisconsin Whitewater 7, Trinity 1. Bottom of the 5th, leading off for the Tigers. Let's over number 28, Pierce Matthews.
Bottom of the 5th on Tiger Network, as Pierce Matthews, the left fielder, set to lead things off for Trinity. Matthews scored the only run of the game for the Tigers so far. And takes strike 1.
but retaining that patient approach at the plate. Exactly what Trinity needs on offense.
Ball high, 1-1.
And even in a 6-run ball game, it's been proven once this season, this is a team that you can never count out of things.
We got down 14-5 in the bottom of the 8th against Babson. Put up a 10 spot in that inning. Obviously the Christian Holloway Grand Slam, they win 15-14. Matthews plays that one into right. Rounding first, he's going to dig in for 2 and reach safely with a stand-up lead-off double. Pierce Matthews, 2 for 2 in his first start of the year.
Yeah, great job from Matthews here tonight. Really working in that at-bat. A great approach. Watches one right down the middle. Turns around. Sees a couple outside the zone. Isn't fazed by the fact that he falls behind with a first pitch strike. Just works it. Finds something that he likes and barrels the baseball up.
So now working with a runner on second will be Colt Harris, but a meeting from Whitewater. First time really any trouble for Cade Barrett, who's had an absolutely exceptional 4 innings to this point. Working with a 7-1 lead, and it looks like this is just a talk instead of a change.
Yeah, and understandable. He has been very excellent. 66 pitches through 4 full innings. Starting here in the 5th. Don't want to see extra bases to that leadoff base runner. I think that's one of the biggest issues with that right there. And trying to keep Pierce Matthews over at first would have been very nice. Just a little bit of an extra conversation. Changes the dynamic that he's already over in scoring position.
This is the part of the order that did the damage the last time they were up. The only run of the game accounted for. The strike 1 to Harris. He's 1 for 1 with a double. It was Matthews reaching with a walk, Harris doubling, and then a sacrifice fly from Maddox McDonald to put the only run on the game for the Tigers on the board. Harris now working with nobody out and Matthews on second. As takes ball 1. When you talk about that comeback against Babson, Pierce Matthews, his first career hit was a 3-run homer to make it 14-9. Talking to guys on the team, that was really what got it started. That gave the Tigers the momentum.
Yeah, kind of a weird thing. Usually in rallies, when you're down big time, you don't want to take runners off the base, right? You want to keep things in this position where you can chip away little by little. It's passing the baton. It's extra base hit, extra base hit, extra base hit. A home run is an extra base hit, but it creates a clean slate for a pitcher. Doesn't have to face any traffic on the base paths. Pierce Matthews didn't care about that. And it was an absolute no-doubter. It put a charge into that dugout, I'm sure. And I don't blame them for being fired up and getting the momentum they needed from that hit.
Now 2-2 to Colt Harris. High ball 3. As Barrett frustrated with himself after that pitch.
Yeah, he's gotten a couple of Tigers by going and climbing up in the zone. That one really at Colt Harris's eye level, not competitive enough to warrant a swing.
And same pitch, same result. This time for ball 4 as Harris reaches.
Yeah, and you mentioned that conversation coming from the Whitewater dugout. Mound visit just a couple moments ago ahead of Colt Harris, given the fact that this is the part of the order that did the damage. Colt Harris very nearly sent one out. It felt like a routine fly ball off of his bat, but it landed very deep in that right field corner. Didn't want to mess around with him in that at bat very clearly. Those last 2 pitches not close to the zone.
Peterson squares up to bunt. Matthews back in time, even though the throw goes to second. You talk about the bottom of the order being so dangerous for these Tigers. Scannell really likes to spread his talent out throughout the lineup. No greater evidence than Jack Peterson hitting 9th.
Yeah, 2 home runs already this season. A lot of pop in the bat. But no surprise that he squares to bunt right there. If he can place one, he has the legs to beat it out. And very suddenly, Trinity could have the top of the order up.
Throw gets away, and the runners are going to advance. Matthews takes third, Harris takes second, and there's 2 in scoring position with nobody out.
This is the other threat of scoring around a bunt in a situation like this, as we see a little love from Pierce Matthews standing over at third base now. And your pitcher, more often than not, it's best case scenario to take that out that's given to you, especially when you have a 6-run lead that Barrett does.
Ball high to Peterson. We talked about him reaching on sack bunts. He did so in Game 3 against Babson, hit the 2 homers. But when I was talking to his former roommate, Harrison Dureau, bunt single for Jack Peterson. He swings through that one. But that's the thing, they put him up to bunt when there's nobody on. So that's the confidence that Coach Scannell has that he's going to reach.
Yeah, not only great speed, but a frame about 6'4". He has really long strides. Makes it easier for him to beat those balls out.
Another ball thrown from Barrett. Runners on first and second, still nobody out in the inning. And now a full count to Peterson. 3-2 pitch. Fouled off. Peterson stays alive.
You think about it, this is a situation where they could have an out if he chose to take the bunt. I think you get a little cute when you see a guy square and he misses the first couple times. You go to the breaking ball, it's harder to get it down, but when you bury it, you have results like this where runners advance.
That's ball 4. He loses Peterson and the bases are filled with Tigers.
It's the same end result, more or less, when you have a guy like Peterson that is so quick and can get down the line.
And that'll be the day for Cade Barrett. Goes 4 innings, has yet to record an out in the 5th, and the bases are loaded. Opportunity for the Tigers when we come back. Bases loaded with nobody out on Tiger Network, and a new pitcher for Whitewater. It's Jack Hagan making his first appearance of his career. The first year from San Clemente, California. And he'll face the leadoff hitter Maddox McDonald. McDonald 0 for 1, does have a sac fly RBI as he takes strike 1. You see the numbers for McDonald on the year, hitting .308. 5 runs scored. Trying to put the Tigers back in this game. think down 7-1, this is going to be one of the best opportunities Trinity gets. Bases loaded, nobody out. He went around and it's 0-2.
Yeah, maybe had no better opportunity than pitch number one. Pitch number one out of the pen for Hagen was really right down the heart of the plate. And maybe a little bit on the inside, but I think if you're McDonald, that's probably right in the sweet spot. Wanted to see one. Unfortunately, it was the best one he was going to get.
Gets away, and Matthews will stay on third base. Thought about it for a second, gets the red light, and the runners stay where they are.
Yeah, almost like a magic trick. The screen I'm looking at right now, I saw Joe Gordon pop up because that one went through his legs, and he kind of just turned back towards the mound. He had the baseball in his hands. Brick backstop here in San Antonio. Hard ricochet. Heads up base running.
Take strike three looking. Right down the chute, and that's out number one.
Yeah, in a tough position if you're Trinity. This offense, down 7-1, can't afford to go down looking with no outs and the bases loaded, especially when you get two fastballs right over the heart of the plate. Tough one to swallow there, but the benefit is that there weren't any down. Now Jack Baker in the two-hole, still at the top of the order, gets to step up and try and do some damage.
The first strikeout in the career of Jack Hagen. As he gets Maddox McDonald looking. Baker, the two-hole hitter, still working with the bases loaded. Now 2 outs in the inning. Still an opportunity for the Tigers to do some damage. Grounder through. One run comes around, the other will stay where he is. And it's 7-2, an RBI single from Jack Baker.
Yeah, and Baker ready for the fastball that time. Have to imagine that McDonald and Baker had some sort of exchange as McDonald went back to the dugout. As Jack Baker got this one, it was up, it was in on his hands, but he was certainly ready for the fastball right there. If anything, maybe he hit it a little bit too hard through the left side of the infield. Got to left field where Skolin is playing for the Warhawks. Quickly enough for him to get it back in before a second runner could score.
Now Nick Lazera with a good opportunity, hitting .444 on the year. He's played all 4 games for the Tigers. Takes ball 1.
And Lazera, I think, another guy anticipating a first pitch fastball right there. Started the hands, did a nice job recognizing off-speed breaking ball, laid off of it.
Bases loaded, 1 out. Swing and a miss, strike 1.
Talked about it already. He's got the juice in his bat to turn this game around very quickly. I wanted it with a fastball. Got one right there, but Hayden doing everything he can to keep it away from big 1-5.
Strike 2, outside edge. And Lazera can't believe it.
That breaking ball finishing in a very similar spot that pitch number 1 did.
Ground ball. Run comes home. A little unclear to see what happened. Not a double play, so the run scores. Lazera retired, and there's 2 down. 7-3. Whitewater still leads.
And Hagen doing a nice job utilizing the breaking ball in that at-bat. Got hit by Baker. All of the bases remained occupied. Faced probably the most dangerous hitter in this lineup in Lazera. Came right after him. Used that breaking ball very effectively in doing so and didn't allow a big hit that allowed Trinity to cut into that deficit. Just one swing of the bat.
As Christian Holloway works with an 0-1 count. Now 0-2. Hagen's done a good job since coming in. Gave up the 1 run. But since then, it's really settled in. 0-2 pitch to Holloway. Grounded. Fair ball. And everybody's standing around, so it looks like they're going to call that foul.
Yeah, I think that one had to have gone off of his foot. It looked pretty clearly like that one was fielded between those foul lines. So he'll step back in. But you're right. Gave up that one run on the hard hit ball, but since then, a lot of breaking stuff, a lot of soft stuff to counter a very aggressive Trinity offense. And he retired Lazera, although it bring in a second run for Trinity, doing a very good job at the moment.
Holloway takes ball 1. They count 1-2. Runners at second and third for the Tigers. Strike 3 called. Hagan gets out of it. Whitewater still up by 4. And what a first appearance for Jack Hagan as we head to the top of the 6th in San Antonio.
Now pitching for the Tigers, number 34, Zach Ballman. Top of the 6th inning, leading off for Wisconsin-Whitewater, right fielder number 18, Adam Cooper.
Top of the 6th, and a new pitcher for the Tigers. It's Zach Balbin getting his first appearance of the year, and he faces one of the most dangerous hitters in Division III baseball, Adam Kootway. Balbin from San Marino, California. Try and get his year off to a good start. Obviously a challenge against this vaunted Whitewater lineup, and he hits him. So the second time Kootway's been hit by a pitch, and he's reached base all 4 times. So 2 of them probably not the way he would want.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier after the first time that he got hit. Can't imagine you want to start your 2024 campaign off with 2 hit by pitches. Makes that OBP look very, very good, but he's a guy that is going to want the opportunity to just expand on what was already a great 2023 campaign and just swing the bat as much as possible.
As Matt Skolin steps into the box, 1-0 count to him. Kootway at first, and now 2-0. Listen to Kootway's stat line today. Single, hit by pitch, walk, hit by pitch. Reach base all 4 times. Strike called, outside edge.
Yeah, and when you're as dangerous as Kootway is, that's typically what the line score is going to look like. Guys are going to try and pitch around you, and when they make mistakes, it's going to be a lot of home runs, hit by pitches, and walks that are going to go his way this season.
That's 3-1 to Matt Skolin. Talk about Adam Kootway and Sam Padden, but it's been the depth of this Whitewater lineup that's carried the day so far. Strike called, outside edge.
And a big looping breaking ball. Falling behind early in the top of the 6th inning is Balbin. Hits Kootway to start the inning off. Then 3-1 here in this count. Just trying to find that release point. He does so with a breaking ball right there.
3-2 pitch. Popped up. Tinker to the wall. Makes the catch. What a play by Kai Tinker up against the padding. Gets out number 1.
And he does a great job. He gets there really early. That's the important thing. Find the wall. You don't want to be playing around with it, running into it right as you're trying to make the catch. You see him. He gets all the way over there, finds it with that offhand, and then adjusts at the last moment once he recognizes where he is to haul that one in. Great job by Balbin coming back with a couple of consecutive breaking balls, able to land them in just about the same spot, force the hands of the hitter to retire the first out here in the top of the 6th.
Now the cleanup hitter, Eli Frank, settles in with 1 out and 1 on. 0-1 pitch from Balbin. Runner goes, throw in time. So Kutwe only stole 6 bags last year, had one today, doesn't get another one, 2 down in the inning.
Yeah, and the first one, it didn't warrant a throw. Maybe caught some people off guard here in San Antonio, but Nick Lazera, who threw one into the outfield earlier, this time gets a better grip on the baseball. To no doubters, Colt Harris comes over from second base, applies the tag nicely. Lazera has been held quiet in the batter's box, but that time gets to show off his absolute cannon of an arm behind home plate, and there's 2 away here.
Ball 1 to Frank. You know, it's interesting with the screens. It's usually delayed when I see the runner go. When I saw him, it didn't look like he was that far down the line. Normally, they're almost at second base when I catch it. And Lazera had plenty of time to gun it to second. Swing and a miss, strike 3. A scoreless inning from Zach Balbin as we head to the bottom of the 6th. 7-3, Whitewater.
Bottom of the 6th inning, leading off for the Tigers, the designated hitter, number 11, Balbani Oni.
Bottom of the 6th in the Alamo City. Cal Coney leads things off for the Tigers, who are more back in the game than they were. Was 7-1 at one point. Got 2 runs in that last inning, now 7-3. As comeback maybe not on, but they're in it at least. Hit in the air to center, and the catch made as Najira records out number 1.
Yeah, and that one just hanging up there again for an eternity off the bat of Coney. Does a nice job getting the barrel out there and poking that one, but plenty of time and a ton of speed showed off in center by Alex Najira, doing a nice job. Coming in to get the first out, bottom of the 6th inning after Trinity was able to scratch a couple more across in the bottom of the 5th.
As Kai Tinker steps up to the plate and takes strike 2. Tinker 0 for 2, grounded into an inning-ending 6-4-3 double play. As this one grounded back to Hagan, calmly walks to first, and a quick 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th.
And Hagan really picking up the pace in that at-bat right there. He gets the first pitch strike to Tinker, back on the mound in a hurry, and he's already up there again. If you're Trinity, offensively, want to find a way to get him off his rhythm right here.
As Pierce Matthews takes strike one. This is the part of the order that has done some damage. Matthews has walked and doubled. Fouls that off for strike two. Harris up to bat next if Pierce Matthews can reach. He's also doubled and walked. Ball one inside.
Yeah, close miss right there, not deterring Hagen at all.
1-2 to Matthews. Low 2-2, and this pace that Hagen's working at, rapid speed.
Yeah, very confident. Almost started his trot back off to his dugout after that breaking ball. Very nearly missed.
Swing and a miss, strike three. 1-2-3 go the Tigers as we head to the seventh. Hagen confidently struts back to the dugout. Zach Balbin back on the mound for the top of the seventh as Sam Padden set to lead things off for Whitewater, still up 7-3. Strike one. Sam Padden has homered in this game. Popped up, but no play for Lazera.
Good job from Balbin starting this one off. Goes soft away with pitch number one. A little bit harder in on the hands. Maybe middle, but at least middle in to Payton with that second one.
0-2 pitch. Hit in the air to deep left field, and you can kiss it goodbye. The second home run for Sam Padden of the game, and it's 8-3 Whitewater.
And pitch one away was soft. Pitch two a little harder on the hands of Padden. Pitch three was not a great combination of the two. Left that one up and in and a little bit too soft. And a guy that's already hit one out hits that one out by a mile this time around. Just absolutely turning on that pitch up in the zone.
Sam Padden now 3 for 3 in this game with 2 home runs. So what an opening day for him. As Thies now up, nobody out, nobody on. Whitewater up 8-3 thanks to the solo home run from Sam Padden. Swing and a miss, strike one.
Realistically, that's the biggest difference in this game. A couple of pitches that have been left up by this Trinity staff have been turned on, and they've paid for it. And the other way, Whitewater, Barrett, didn't really make any mistakes as a starter, ran into some trouble. Right now it's Hagen who's come on, and he's pitching very well, right? He's given up a couple of runs, but even then, this Trinity offense has had to earn everything that they have on the board.
Hit in the air to right field, and the catch made by McDonald for out number one. But you think about the impact that Hagen had in relief. The Tigers made this a 4-run game. They were creeping back. And then one of the quickest innings I've ever seen. As you see the replay of the Sam Padden home run, no doubt about it. There's a sidewalk over the fence and left. It probably went over that.
Yeah, that one, you know it's hit out of here by a wide margin when the left fielder doesn't really turn around to give chase. I think everyone here in San Antonio knew that that one was far gone.
That's one down in the inning. Brings up Jackson. He takes ball one. Daryl Jackson 0 for 2 in this game, has walked. As this offense for Whitewater has been humming, as it did all year last season. Think about how potent they are. Third in batting average. Won 30 games last season, largely because of their offense. Their pitching staff had a 4.6 ERA, able to overcome that. As that's called ball high. And it's been everybody 1 through 9 for Whitewater. Kuwei only 1 for 1 with a single today. It's been his teammates. Ground ball to Baker, 2 down.
Good job right there. If nothing else, this Trinity staff has kept Daryl Jackson hitless tonight. One bright spot, one matchup that they've taken advantage of. Really, they've been very good against the bottom of the order. Jackson, Joe Gordon, and Bennett Frazier yet to find a way on base via the hit. But Gordon and Frazier to this point only registering one at bat apiece. They've gotten on base in other ways and successfully turned the lineup over to those 1 through 3, 1 through 4 hitters who have been very, very hard for this Trinity staff to stop.
Hit in the air down the third base line, but foul. And you talk about the bottom of the order finding ways on base. Joe Gordon, a perfect example of that. 2 walks in his first 2 at-bats. Frazier, who's on deck, reached on an error and also walked. And it really sets the table for the top of the lineup, which is so dangerous. And even though it hasn't been Kootway, it's been everybody like Sam Patton. Hit to right, and the catch made to end the inning. 8-3 as Sam Patton adds a solo home run to the score for Whitewater.
Leading off the bottom of the 7th for the Tigers, number 2, Colt Harris.
Bottom of the 7th on Tiger Network. Tigers in an 8-3 hole to the visiting Warhawks as Colt Harris leads off this inning. Harris 1 for 1 with a walk and a double. Hitting .400 on the year. Take strike 1. Yes.
Hagan continuing to operate very, very quickly. He came out of the pen and was a little slower, but in the clean innings that he started, you can see he's back on the mound very, very quickly. And Trinity hitters not doing a ton to try and disrupt that rhythm. He drops another breaking ball in there very nicely.
And a quick 1-2 to Colt Harris, now doing something to disrupt that rhythm. We were talking about this during the break. You have to do something to slow him down a little bit. Harris tries it there. 1-2 pitch. Grounded foul, and Harris stays alive.
Yeah, in the last half inning, I mean, Trinity came back to bat after a runner thrown out at second and a strikeout swinging. They had a ton of energy. Hagen took it all away very, very fast.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Gets Harris his second strikeout of the game, and there's one down in the inning.
Hagen mixing pitches just so well right now. I think he came in, faced McDonald, got the strikeout looking. Baker made him pay because he threw one too many fastballs. Trinity's shortstop was able to turn on it, send it through the left side of the infield. But now he's just keeping these hitters off balance. This is a really nice breaking ball.
Yeah, swing and a miss from Jack Peterson. Always an important at-bat for the opposing pitcher when Peterson's up. He's such a threat if he gets on first. His ball outside.
Peterson immediately taking a little bit more time between each of these pitches. Maybe not full time out, but stepping back to gather himself.
Swing and a miss, strike 2. So they're trying different techniques. It's not helping so far.
Yeah, Hagen unfazed, coming right at these hitters and throwing downhill. Fastball on a great plane right now. Everything is located at the bottom of the zone.
Hit in the air to right and foul, I assume.
Yeah, hard to get that angle out there in right field, especially in the corners where he sent that ball. Hagen throwing very well, spotting everything down in the zone, but Peterson, a guy that can go down there and get him, just a little bit too early on that one. But we've seen his golf swing before, and it can wind up a couple of rows deep in the parking lot beyond right.
That's hit in the air, staying in play. Calling for it, and the catch may, oh. And the signal is that he did not make the catch, and Peterson's safe at second base.
Yeah, the home plate umpire making that call. Different angle that we have here in our control center. Jack Peterson heads up play right there. Hard base running to wind up over there at second. Something that you see sometimes the first couple games out for these teams that play in very cold climates. They don't have the opportunity to take a ton of fly balls. Maybe showing right there in game 1 of their 2024 season.
This is McDonald up for the 4th time. 0 for 2 with a sac fly RBI. Struck out looking the last time he was up. Oh, 1 pitch with Peterson on second. Strike 2.
Breaking ball just perfectly placed in there, catching the very bottom of that zone. All of these pitches, whether it's fastball or curveball, they're in the same spot. Just timing for the Trinity hitters thrown off pretty significantly.
0-2 pitch. Strike 3. McDonald goes looking for the second time in a row, and there's 2 down in the inning.
If you could see an overlay of those 2 pitches, again, from a height perspective, they're side by side. McDonald just frozen right there as Hagen continues to mix these 2 pitches very, very effectively.
Swing and a miss from Baker. And a quick 0-1 count. And I talked about what you mentioned, how much time that Whitewater has to spend inside with their coach, John Vodenlich. He talked about that's why they hit so much. You see how good they are at hitting in this game. They spend so much time in the cage because they can't go to the field in the offseason. And swing and a miss from Baker. But that's the focus that they put on. He talked about the recruitment that they have, how they're able to develop these players so young. And when it switches to development, it's a lot on the offensive side just because that's what they can work on, being a Northern school. Baker went around. That's strike 3. Throw to first ends the inning. 8-3 Whitewater as we end the 7th in San Antonio.
Top of the eighth inning, leading off for the Warhawks. Third baseman number 5, Bennett Frazier.
Top of the eighth in South Texas, as Bennett Frazier set to lead things off for Whitewater. Squares up to bunt. Gets it down. It's a good one. Tough play for Tinker, not in time. A bunt single for Bennett Frazier and the leadoff runner on board for Whitewater.
And Frazier pulling that one out of nowhere. Good way to start the top of the eighth. Try and catch the defense back. I think that's exactly what happened right here. Late to square. Puts it in the air just a little bit, but had quite a bit of air underneath it. So by the time it got down, it had lost a lot of its momentum. Tinker crashing very hard, and a very solid defensive third baseman for Trinity just couldn't put that throw on line. I'm not sure it would have mattered. Great speed shown off right there to start off the top of the eighth for the Warhawks.
Squares up to bunt. Pitch in the dirt. Runner stays where he is. As Alex Najira up for the 5th time today. He's 1 for 4 with a single. Also reached on a fielder's choice. So runner on first, nobody out. Ball high, throw back to first, not in time.
Good throw. Good idea from Lazera right there. Showed his arm off a couple of times. Caught a runner stealing at second base a couple innings ago. Certainly a guy that can snap throw over to first to catch someone off guard.
Fouled off, and it's 2-2. Speaking of Lazera, I think it's about time that we had our first Frank mention of the season. Nick Lazera's French Bulldog in the building tonight. It's pretty cold outside for Texas. Temperature hovering around high 40s, low 50s, so he has a blanket today. Throw back to first, not in time. It's always good to see the dogs at the ballpark.
Yeah, cold one tonight. Got a great shot of Hagan. See it right now. Balbin out there. Until it's cold here in San Antonio, see his breath.
So that's fouled off. Now, I looked at the weather app. I was down at the field before the game. I was seeing my breath. I was pretty cold. And I looked at the weather app, and it said 52. But I could see my breath, and I thought the line for that was 45. So either the weather app's wrong, I'm a wimp, or both. Both can be true.
I'm going to abstain from this conversation. I don't want any harsh words that are going to come back to bite me later in the season. It's just broadcast number 1, Cole.
Strike 3 from Balbin as the first out of the inning is recorded. But either way, pretty cold, and it's a little surprising that we've seen this many home runs from Whitewater given that.
Yeah, but we talked about it last inning. They're inside. They're working on hitting, and it's paying off in game 1 this season. As Balbin gives a check over on Frazier at first. Frazier was off and moving in that last at-bat. Just pitch fouled off, had him retreat. But Balbin doing a nice job, locking in, trying to control the running game, keep this at a 5-run deficit. Bottom of the 8th is where Trinity has done some damage this season.
Yeah, it's only a 5-run deficit. What's that? This time the pitch does come. Kootway lines that into left. And a base hit for Adam Kootway, his 2nd of the game, as he's reached all 5 times he's appeared.
Yeah, just a quiet 2-for-2 day for Adam Kootway. But his presence in the box has been felt. Some gravity anytime he steps up to the plate. Some gravity in a very literal sense as the ball has found him tonight. A couple of hit-by pitches, a walk. And 2-for-2 outside of that. A very solid start to his campaign.
Hit in the air to deep center field. Pack at the wall. Peterson can't make the catch. Ball over the fence for a ground rule double. As that should score 1. So the runner at third came home. I think he's going to be sent back. Either way, it's 9-3 Whitewater.
Had a pretty huge piece from Skolin right here. Saw Peterson playing out there in center field, drifting back and back as that flag is blowing in. Just can't quite track that down to the deepest part of the ballpark.
Not often you see one drop in over Peterson's head like that. A very rangy center fielder, but hit it in the perfect spot. And now a power bat, Eli Frank, up to hit. 2 runners in scoring position. Fouled off.
Very healthy piece. Hack from Frank right there. A pitch up and out of the zone from Balbin to start this at bat off. Frank certainly wants to get in on the fun today. 0 for 4 start.
0 for 4, and he struck out the last 2 times he's appeared. One of the only hitters in this Whitewater lineup not to reach base. In fact, the only hitter. So he definitely wants to get in on the party. Inside.
Yeah, Balbin backs him up just a little bit. That one up and in. The Trinity staff today that, again, perhaps are some different names that you'd anticipate in game 1 of a series.
Grounder to Harris. 2 down in the inning, but Kutwe comes home to make it 10-3 Whitewater.
Good job from Frank right there. Not getting his first hit of this season, but doing a job. I'm sure he'll be satisfied with the RBI.
Does his job, as you said, and now another dangerous hitter for Whitewater, Sam Patton. Homered the last time he was up, and there was no doubt about it. So that temporarily gets away from Lazera, but the runner at third will stay where he is. That home run against Zach Balbin, the second time these two are facing off against each other. So we'll see if that plays any part in this at-bat. 2 down, runner on third. Squares up to bunt. Pulls it back for strike 1.
Continuing my point, it's been Boki, Mackey, Tyler, and Balbin today. 2 guys for this Trinity squad making their first appearances of their 2024 campaigns.
Strike 2.
And we've had a lot of guys and a lot of pitches that haven't looked like that. Just not a competitive enough strike percentage on the outing for this staff. And too many positions where they fall behind in counts. They've issued walks. They've just had to hang some pitches for guys to swing at, like that one right there.
Patton heads to the dugout, strike 3. As Balbin gets out of it, but Whitewater extends the lead. They're up by a touchdown in San Antonio.
For Wisconsin Whitewater, in the top of the 8th, 2 runs on 3 hits from no errors, 1 player left on base. Heading to the bottom of the 8th, scoring Wisconsin Whitewater 10, Trinity 3. On the 8th, leading off for the Tigers, catch number 15, Nicholas Lazara.
Bottom of the 8th in San Antonio, Nick Lazera leads it off for the Tigers and takes strike 1. Just wanted to take a moment to give a huge shout out to everybody working on a Thursday night. Not very common for us. As Lazera lines that up the middle Throw takes him off the bag. Tag applied. We'll see if it's in time. No signal yet, and it looks like Lazera is going to be safe at first.
And a good job getting down the line by the catcher. Looks like this one maybe took a little bit of a deflection off of Hagen on the way through. Couldn't exactly tell from that angle if he got a touch on him. And Lazera went back to the dugout just to get a pinch runner in there.
We didn't see the signal from our angle here in the control room that we're working from, so we saw Lazera headed back. That was a confusing moment. But a pinch runner on for Christian Holloway. Holloway 1 for 3 today. Hitting in the bottom of the 8th, down 7. That grand slam in the bottom of the 8th, not in that position, but can extend this inning. So he takes strike 1. You know, Luke, I mentioned at the end of the last half inning that Trinity was down a touchdown, so I feel like it's opportune moment to segue into the fact that these two schools both very good at football.
Yeah, big time. Whitewater, one of the standards in Division III over the last 25, 30 years, and continuing that hot streak in recent seasons as well, playing in one of the toughest conferences out there. Very, very impressive squad. Not too shabby at baseball either.
As Holloway retired for out number 1. As Hagen still doing good work on the mound. Now you talk about it, Whitewater, the standard in Division III football. Sent some guys to the NFL from Division III, which is relatively uncommon. The Broncos starting offensive guard Quinn Miners from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater.
Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 Division III guys lucky to get their name called in a draft in any given year, and probably the number of free agent signings after each season mimic that. Not a ton of people that have their names called or recognized in the NFL from the Division III pipeline, but Whitewater across the board athletically showing that they're very capable. Not a whole lot of weak links in that department.
Obviously very good at baseball, as you see by the scoreboard. So they've also sent some guys to the pros. Hit ball outside to Cal Coney, who remains in this game. Working with 1 down and a runner on first. Hagen's done a great job in relief. Took over in the 5th with the bases loaded, nobody out. So he drops in strike 1.
I think more than anything, Hagen has done a fantastic job. Such a high percentage of strikes thrown. Just not a lot of misses. He's coming right at these Trinity hitters on a day where the offense is struggling a little bit more than we're used to. They have 3 runs on 5 hits. Not picking up the bats a ton today. As we see another one nearly drop in there. This is just wide. Push count 3-1.
3-1 to Coney. Hagen in danger of losing him. Strike 2. Not a lot of base traffic since Hagen came into the game for the Tigers. It's Coney trying to create some.
And whatever traffic there was, Hagen inherited when he first stepped onto the mound.
Fouled off as Coney stays alive.
I think outside of that, there was a leadoff double to start the last inning. And he erased that very, very quickly.
3-2 pitch to Cal Coney. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Coney's retired, and there's 2 down in the inning.
Yeah, and picking the bat up that time was Cal Coney, but Hagen really starting to feel himself on the mound. I think he's just growing more and more confident. He's thrown everything for strikes. He's really starting to get into that back leg. Fastball looks really nice. If anything, it's picked up velocity in the time that he's been out there. Absolutely no problem blowing it by Coney that time.
As a pinch hitter for the Tigers, it's Alex Monson coming in. Lazara pinch run for. So the Tigers need to put in a catcher. It looks like Monson's going to be that guy. As he steps up to the plate with 2 outs and a man on. There's strike 1. You know, I talked to Coach Vodenlich about the pitching staff last year. Gave up an ERA of 4.6. Wasn't very good at times, but he spoke very highly of the incoming freshman class, particularly on the mound, and you're seeing it here with Hagen.
Yeah, he has been really nothing short of phenomenal. And he's coming in relief for what was a very impressive start from Cade Barrett. He'll get hit with a couple of earned runs. He left the bases loaded, but Hagen doing a nice job limiting the damage for a fellow arm this Warhawks roster.
Yeah, all 3 runs charged to Barrett. Hagen's thrown several scoreless innings. So that drops in for strike 2 to Monson. Hagen in his 4th inning of work. That gets away for a second. Runner will stay where he is.
Yeah, that one, a little bit of an awkward one. Looked like Joe Gordon might have taken that off of his shin protector. Died on the ricochet. Not enough to advance the runner.
Fouled off as Monson stays alive. Trying to extend this inning however he can. Fouled off again.
Yeah, and a good battle right here from Monson. Hanging in there, a couple of different pitches. First one that he fouled off looked to be one of those breaking balls down in the zone. Especially difficult to barrel those up. When they're down, makes it hard not to just roll over the top of it. As we see this one does get away. A pitch that's spiked far ahead.
So Jared Phillips takes second base off the wild pitch, and the Tigers with a runner in scoring position. 2 outs, a full count for Alex Monson. Monson with 2 hits in the game on Sunday against Babson. Looking for one to extend the inning. Grounded to short. That'll end the inning. So the Tigers leave a runner stranded. It's 10-3 Whitewater as we head to the top of the 9th.
Top of that, leading off for Wisconsin Whitewater at second base, it's Evan Tice.
Top of the ninth, Zach Balbin still on the mound in San Antonio. 10-3 Whitewater on top as the Tigers only have 1 inning to make up 7 runs when they get their bats out there. As ball 1.
I think if anything you want to take away from this game, your Trinity, as a positive, it's that you didn't burn through all that many arms. Been very respectable. Talked about it a few half innings ago. Probably not the guys that are going to get their number called the most this year. Still very early on in the season, and this is a coaching staff that does their due diligence. They workshop and mess around. There's no guy that's going to start every game this year exclusively.
That gets down into left center. Peterson throws it from the wall. But Thies is in with a stand-up double. Makes him 2 for 5.
That one just stayed up there for, again, an eternity. A little bit of a difficult read off the bat. This one looks like it's off the end and the opposite direction, but just perfectly spitting Peterson and Pierce Matthews out there in left field for the Tigers. Just a really well-placed baseball. Just as soon as we talk about this pitching staff and the arms that have gone today, Balbin going to get his number called. Dave Smith going to come out. We'll have a new name, a new number on the mound for the Tigers.
That's the day for Zach Balbin. It'll be Kyle Russo when we come back in the top of the ninth. Runner on second, nobody down from San Antonio. Welcome back to the Alamo City. As a new pitcher in for the Tigers, it's Kyle Russo as he comes in with a runner on second and nobody out in the ninth inning. He'll face Jackson. Squares up to bunt and pulls it back for ball 1.
And it's Russo's second appearance of the year, a night where Trinity has used 5 pitchers, 5 arms. Of course, I think that's largely what we expected on a Thursday night game and a 4-game tilt.
That gets away. Thies caught in the middle, throw wide, and he's safe at third base.
Yeah, that one a little bit of a tough break for Trinity. Not sure who's in there behind home plate at the moment.
As that's Matthias Riding. The throw a little wide. Lazera got pinch, ran for it. It was Jarrett Phillips. Pinch running for Lazera, so you need a new catcher. That's Matthias Riding. who actually played a very crucial role in the comeback against Babson in the bottom of the 8th. Little ground ball up the middle. Babson couldn't field it, and that was a part of the 8th inning rally. That one yanked away. Run comes home, and Thies is in to score. 11-3 Whitewater.
Yeah, a pretty apt description of that one. Yanked. Russa just pulling off really hard, overthrowing a couple of pitches in that at-bat. We'll see this one spike. Just a wild pitch that Riding didn't have great opportunity to get to.
So Whitewater continuing to show their offensive prowess. Bases now cleared, still nobody out. 11-3 Warhawks. Russa in his second appearance of the year. Came in last Sunday against Babson to collect the final out of that game. Now Cooper Pease coming in. Runner goes, and in safely, another stolen base for the Warhawks.
And a nice job from Jackson right there, not wasting any time over there at first. Recognizing new catcher into the game, pitcher that's trying to find a way to get settled, taking off before either of them can shift their focus back to controlling the run game.
Cooper Pease pinch hitting for Joe Gordon. Take strike 2. Talk about the pitchers the Tigers have used tonight. This is the 5th one, Russa. But you've had Russa, who threw .1 innings on Sunday. As that's way up and in. They're going to say it hit him. And Pease is aboard at first base. But then you had 2 other Tigers making their first appearance of the year. So overall, in terms of the grand scheme of things, you head into these next 3 games, you have pretty much your full arsenal.
Yeah, and it's going to start tomorrow with Joseph Shavana, who will pitch game 1 of a doubleheader. And he's a guy that started game 1 last weekend, comes into this year seemingly as your ace. But the thing that we've talked about and tried to establish tonight is that this is a group that consistently just gets workshopped. Shavana has been an ace. He's been a Friday night game 1 starter. He's been a game 2 starter. He's been a closer. He's been a guy that you use in whatever capacity that you need out of an arm on any given day. And I think that's most of what these guys are going to be done or used in all season. Russa put into this game late on a Thursday night, but he is another name that can be used in any capacity. It's probably the biggest thing that I've learned in my 4 years calling games on Tiger Network. This is a team and a staff that you really are always going to get something unexpected from. Don't get comfortable with the arms from these Trinity Tigers.
A 3-0 pitch from Russa. In for strike 1. As he faces Bennett Frazier. Frazier 1 for 2. Base hit single the last time he was up. Russa in danger of loading the bases. Strike 2.
Yeah, nice pitch right there. Looked like a little bit of movement on that one, the inside part of the plate. Not enough for Frazier to commit and swing the bat, and all of a sudden the count's full.
Hit into right, and the catch made. They'll throw it to second, cut off, as the runner tags and heads to third. Runners at the corners with 1 down.
Yeah, that one going to right, having to stay at first. So double play ball kept in play at the moment for Russa. It was a nice job coming back in that at-bat, pitching to contact and taking it out in the field. 1 runner able to advance over to third, so a couple at the corners. But an opportunity, just 1 more pitch, 1 more swing of the bat to get back to the dugout and send this one to the bottom of the 9th.
As it looks like a pinch runner is going to come aboard. As that's Will Mikulski making his first appearance of the year. So that's the delay. As another pinch hitter for Whitewater, Dominic McVeigh will see his first action of the year. McVeigh, a first year from Mineral Point, Wisconsin. One of the many Wisconsin natives on this Whitewater roster, along with Illinois. A lot of people from Illinois. As he takes ball one from Rusa.
Yeah, but a lot of representatives on this Wisconsin Whitewater squad, even some from Texas. Just up the road, up 35, hailing from New Braunfels.
Swing and a miss, strike one. Yep, Wyatt Hansen, we didn't see him today, but he's a first year. From New Braunfels, Texas, making his homecoming for his first series with University of Wisconsin Whitewater. Outside from Rusa.
I think Hansen brothers on this roster, Wyatt and Cade both hailing from New Braunfels.
Outside.
But some more competitive pitches from Rusa in the last two at-bats. Nice to see that an adjustment can be made mid-game on mound after he pulled off on a couple, missed wildly. And now finding a way to consistently put the ball in the zone.
You would assume that's what you want, just being down 11-3. See the guys you put in throw strikes. Now a full count pitch. And ball four. Runner takes second base, though he would have gotten there anyways, and there's two on. Or, sorry, the base is loaded for Whitewater.
Yeah, not a bad miss from Rusa right there. Breaking ball was a nice idea. Just started it a little bit too low, finished, was catchable behind the plate, but really right at ground level. Start that one maybe a couple inches higher. Can induce a swing over the top and get that ground ball to get out of the inning. Instead, a relatively easy take from a Wisconsin Whitewater team that has showed very, very good plate discipline all day long.
Adam Kootway in the box for Whitewater. Kootway 2 for 2. He's reached base in all 5 at-bats, 2 hit by pitch and a walk. So that's fouled off. Yeah, this one kind of a clunker, but when these two teams met 2 years ago, a lot of very good games in that 4-game series. 2 walk-offs from the Tigers in back-to-back nights, counting for their 2 wins, and then Whitewater taking a 7-9 win and a 7-3 win. As that hit him. Oh, that's an interesting call. So they're going to say it hit him, but he leaned into the zone. So Kootway goes back to the dugout for strike 3.
Yeah, all smiles right there. Feel like Kootway might be in disbelief of that. Gets hit the first couple of times up to the plate. We'll see a replay. Whoop, maybe not. Eventually, I'm sure we will. But real time, the live look at it, looked like there was maybe some movement of that elbow. This one certainly out over the plate. Yeah, kind of extends it and then at the last second starts to pull things back. Pretty good call from the umpire behind home plate, I would say.
As Vodenlich still talking to the ump about that call. You know, an 11-3 game might not matter now, but you think in the future you'd want that established. As now we will have a meeting. Both umpires coming in to talk to Coach Vodenlich. Pretty unusual call. I think I've only seen that once since I've been watching baseball, like professional, anything. But it did look like the right call. My favorite part about that replay is the woman yawning in the right corner.
Yeah, cold here in San Antonio, and as you point out, probably not a huge difference maker in this one. 11-3 ball game on top of the ninth. Some people may be ready to get on their way.
She's sticking through it. Still on the screen there as Rusa fires that one for ball one. Base is still filled with Warhawks as Kootway was sent back to the dugout with a strikeout. First time he has not reached base. Got hit anyways, though. Third time he's been hit by a pitch. Just didn't get the base for that one. Hit to right. And a foul ball.
Yeah, Matthews out there in left field throwing his hands up as he was coming in. Perhaps not fully picking up on that baseball. Luckily for the Tigers, that one in foul territory, so no harm done. It's always been a struggle, at least a little bit of a struggle here. It's finding the right height for the lights here at the baseball stadium. Very easy for the ball to get caught in there as the outfielders are trying to make a play right in their line of sight.
As they say, Scullin went around. Scullin only 1 for 5 today. Or I should say 2 for 5. Double and a single. That ball outside. You know, Scullin, one of the key players in this Wisconsin-Whitewater lineup. Hit over 350 last year, overshadowed at times by the two players, his teammates, that hit 470. But still a vital part of this team. As he shows it there, hits it into center field. 1 run's coming around. Here comes another one. A 2 RBI single for Matt Scullin, and it's 13-3 Whitewater.
Yeah, and another pitch that just gets left up in the zone right here. Rusa doing a nice job of working ahead early, misses a couple of times. His breaking ball's been oppressive. That one a little bit too loopy, and ultimately it falls over the heart of the plate, middle. Just as you're mentioning, a 350 hitter who's been overshadowed by some of his teammates, but he's not going to make a mistake in that situation. Capitalizes, brings 2 more home for the Warhawks.
Eli Frank coming up to bat. Only Warhawk that started this game that is yet to reach. Has his opportunity in his 6th at bat. He takes strike 1. 0 for 5, but his last one, an RBI ground out. As Whitewater's just pretty much done everything correctly offensively tonight.
Yeah, not a whole lot of games that you'll lose when you hit 3 home runs. Not a whole lot of games that you're going to lose when you walk 5+ times. It's a combination of a lot of different things. You get guys on with hit by pitches, you nearly have another one right there. It just seems like they've capitalized more often than not today. A lot of innings on the scoreboard where there's a crooked number hung.
2-2 pitch from Rusa. 2 down in the 9th. Fouled off. As we have now hit 8:45 p.m. 6 o'clock start time. We're 2 hours 45 minutes into this one. That was pretty much decided in hour 1. Hit on the ground, hit in the air, and into the left field corner. Matthews bobbles it in left, throw cut off to third, but that's going to score a run as Whitewater extends the lead.
Yeah, Frank having to go down, take this one nearly off the ground. This one pretty far out of the zone. At least that's where it would have wound up. Fully extends his hands, gets the barrel out there. Does a nice job of putting barrel on that breaking ball that looked like it was going to wind up in the dirt.
I thought he hit it on the ground at first because were obviously not there, and he went so far down to get it. I didn't think he could possibly get it in the air, but did so as that ball rattled around in the left field corner. Makes it 14-3 Whitewater, and we talked about the football teams these two teams have. Well, there's a football score. 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Now runners at second and third as Frank gets his first hit of the season by way of an RBI double. Sam Patton remains in the game, as a lot of Whitewater's most prominent hitters have. We've seen some pinch hits, but these big guys going the full way. As Patton's had quite the game himself. Check swing ball 2. 2 home runs on the day, along with a single and a walk. So he has done quite a lot of damage in this one.
Yeah, and understandable in weekend 1. Let these guys get as many at-bats as they can, especially when you're going to head into the last 3 games of this series, where things will change up. A sense of normalcy will be regained for the Trinity staff. You'll get your 3 typical weekend starters, as Shavana will get us going tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, make sure to tune into that one. Friday doubleheader tomorrow. Joseph Shavana throwing game 1, first pitch at 2 p.m., followed by a game that's scheduled for 5 p.m., though in our experience working here, as Patton goes down looking, he'll head back to the dugout. That game will begin 30 minutes after the first one ends. Kyle Russa eventually gets out of the inning, strikes out Sam Patton. Middle of the 9th on Tiger Network. Last inning when we come back.
Now pitching for the Warhawks, number 33, Danny Hopper.
Bottom of the 9th on Tiger Network. Jack Hagan's day is done for Whitewater, and what a day it was. But now pitching for the Warhawks, Danny Hopper making his first Whitewater appearance as a sophomore, as he gets things going with ball 1 to Pierce Matthews, who remains in this game.
Yeah, and he gets the reins in pretty comfortable position, up 11. It's been a very dominant performance on the mound for the Warhawks tonight, as he finds the zone for strike number 1 in this now 1-1 count. But Barrett started things off very impressively. Hagan, however, out of the bullpen, just shutting the door on this Trinity offense.
Yeah, Coach Vodenlich told me that he had some arms that he liked that were coming in. Most of the key guys returning from last year. Said had some transfers. Also some first years that he really liked, and I assume Hagan was one of them, based on the situation he was thrown in. The bases loaded, the game somewhat in the balance at that point. Ground ball up the middle in time for out number 1.
Good job ranging over there at shortstop. Pierce Matthews playing in left field for this Trinity defense. But offensively, certainly has some speed on the base paths. Does a nice job trying to beat this one out.
It's now up to bat for the Tigers. Colt Harris takes ball one. One down in the bottom of the ninth. 14-3 Whitewater as their strike one. Two and one. Grounded, third base side, two down.
Yeah, new pitcher into the game. Doing a great job. Same thing that his Warhawk counterparts have done all evening. That's just work quickly. Back on the mound with Colt Harris in the box, pitch after pitch, and keeping everything in or right around the zone. Harris forced to pick up the bat right there. Just couldn't get a great piece as that one in on his hands just a little bit. He rolls over, stays in the infield. And Whitewater, for a team that hasn't played a ton on a full-size field, showed earlier on a pop-up. Outside of that, they've been very, very steady-handed.
And a new hitter for the Tigers, number 48, Caleb Woodward, getting his first action of his career. The first year from California. Sprained his ankle last week. Wasn't able to get into action against Babson, but making his debut tonight. Trying to extend this game for Trinity. Who's down to their last out. As he fouls that one off.
Yeah, nice cut right there. Tall, lanky lefty. Some long legs. Cole, I've heard you talk about him quite a bit in the early going, and I'm sure that we'll have more than opportunity to call his name this season.
He takes strike three, and with them, the final out of the game. 14-3, Whitewater takes game one.
Yeah, and a very, very commanding performance here to open their 2024 campaign. And I don't think you would anticipate anything different out of a team that comes in and plays game one as a ranked squad in Division III baseball.
Whitewater came into this game ranked number 22, visiting number 19 Trinity, as they take game one of four. Be sure to tune in tomorrow where we have a doubleheader, an unusual Friday doubleheader, 2 and 5 p.m. as we look forward to that one. Joseph Shavana starting game one there. For everyone in the control room working tonight, for Luke Terry, I'm Cole Isaacson saying so long from San Antonio. We hope you enjoyed this one.